It is my favorite time of the year, Thanksgiving leading into Christmas. I don't know about you, but this time of the year, I can very easily reverse all the health accomplishments that I have made through the year. That's why we are going to make cauliflower mash. It is not as bad as it sounds, I promise. I have a way of making the cauliflower mash to make it taste really good, and that is what we're going to do today. So whether you want to eat your turkey with mashed potatoes or rice, you would have substitutes that would actually be tasty for you to eat. If you're looking at living a healthy lifestyle in general, or if you're trying to reverse a chronic condition like I do, or if you're trying to maintain a reversal of a chronic condition like I am right now, this is going to be a very healthy substitute for mashed potatoes and rice during the season. And with that, we are going to bake a turkey, Miriam style, because I love eating tasty turkey made at home. Let's get to it. To make the cauliflower mash and the cauliflower rice, you need one whole cauliflower, one yellow bell pepper, one orange bell pepper, one red bell pepper. I'm using one cauliflower because this is a serving of one. This will serve one plate of mashed cauliflower and one plate of cauliflower rice or cauliflower fried rice. If you want a bigger portion, just increase the amount of cauliflower and bell peppers that you would use. But for the meal today, we'll need one large cauliflower, one orange, yellow, and red bell pepper, and that'll be for the cauliflower items. For the turkey, we would need two large red onions. I love red onions, and I think it usually seasons the meat better, and that's why I use red onions, but yellow onions or white onions can be used as well. About half the size of a red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, and orange bell pepper. We have about 6 or 7 or maybe 8 cloves of garlic, and then 2 fingers of ginger. I usually don't peel my ginger. I leave it as is and I blend it all together. And we have a quarter thumb size turmeric. I usually use just a quarter thumb size because I don't like the turmeric overpowering the flavor and taking over the flavors in the meal. I have 2 habanero peppers that I'll be including as well. I'm going to use gloves because of the habanero peppers. I don't want my hands burning after I'm done basting my turkey. So I'll use some coconut oil, some seasoned salt, and oh, I forgot to mention, for the cauliflower mash and for the rice, I would use the seasoning. It's Kinder's buttery garlic and herb seasoning for the cauliflower rice and the cauliflower mash. I'm not sure where I bought that seasoning, but I think you can get it at Walmart, or you could use any seasoning of choice. It really doesn't matter. I have my turkey. I have a spoon that I'll be using to measure my coconut oil with. I have a skewer. This is just a wooden skewer, or you could use a metal skewer. It really doesn't matter. But I'm basically going to use it to poke into the turkey so that my seasoning can get in as much as it can. Now this is a Creole injector. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I also have my scissors here that I'll use to cut extra skin off the turkey. I will begin by blending all the ingredients I'll be using for the turkey. Add about half a cup of water. You could actually use any seasoning of choice. It could be seasoned salt, it could be garlic powder, it could be regular salt, sea salt, pink salt. Any seasoning of choice could be included in this mixture. It really doesn't matter. It all depends on your taste preference. I'm going to include about 1 teaspoonful of salt. I think that should be enough salt or sodium. But if you usually prefer something a little bit more salty, you could include a little bit more, but always remember to be less generous with the salt. I have my strainer and my bowl. I'm just going to pour the mixture into the strainer so that the liquid or the juice of the mixture separates from the chaff or the seed of the mixture. Here we go. This way I have the rest of the seasoning in paste form and I have the liquid separated. This makes it very easy for the injector to suck the juice into the tube for me to inject it into the turkey. What the skewer is going to do is I'm going to poke holes into the turkey. All kinds of holes, anywhere, everywhere, it really doesn't matter. I know that sometimes people say, oh, by the time the turkey is cooked, the skin may not be looking that good, but then you realize that you have a very golden brown turkey looking very good, but then you taste it and it tastes very blunt, or you don't taste any seasoning at all. But I like to taste my seasoning, so I will poke the skin. It will still look pretty, but maybe not as pretty as a turkey without holes. I think it would still look very pretty and at the same time be very seasoned. When you're doing this, please ensure not to stab yourself. So for the basting, I most certainly need gloves because I don't want that habanero pepper giving me a run for my money throughout the day, spicing up my hands and my fingers. I'm going to begin smearing my turkey with all of the seasoning. One step I forgot is I completely forgot to include the coconut oil. But even if you forget to include the coconut oil after blending or before basting, you can still brush the turkey with some coconut oil after you're done basting. Put the seasoning inside of the turkey because it will be cooking from the inside out and outside in, and you want it to have all the deliciousness. Now, aside the hole or the pocket at this side of the turkey, there's also a pocket on this side of the turkey. This is the pocket that held the neck and the gizzard and the liver and the heart. I took them out before washing the turkey. The process of injecting marinade into the turkey is designed to provide flavor and tenderness and more moisture to the turkey that goes beyond the surface. Unlike the traditional methods of applying marinades and rubs, injecting allows the flavor to penetrate deep into the turkey. Traditionally, allowing turkey to soak in marinade in order to ensure full absorption of flavor can take several hours and sometimes days. But by injecting, it only takes seconds, and you can start baking the turkey as soon as you're done, even though you can still allow it to marinate overnight if preferred. Adding more moisture to your turkey is very important when baking, as it is easy to draw out moisture during the cooking process. Locking in moisture of the turkey guarantees that you will have juicy turkey at the end of your baking session. Injecting your turkey prior to baking can save you time. There is no waiting time required, which is very convenient and easier, especially if you usually forget to marinate your turkey beforehand. At this point in time in my life, I'm not a big fan of overcomplicating how I cook my meals and what I eat. Because the more complicated the cooking and prepping process is, the less sustainable it is. And in every journey, sustainability is the key. When you are motivated, you need momentum to keep it going. When what you are doing is or becomes easy, the more you are able to sustain the momentum. When it's difficult, being motivated can only take you so far. Without momentum to sustain the course, you'll find yourself right back where you started. So keep the momentum by making your meals easy and stress free to make. Now that we are done, we are going to put the turkey into the turkey pan to bake. I'm holding these skewers because I'm going to use it to secure the wings of the turkey. So by the time it's done, it's nice and folded in. You can use wooden skewers or you could use metal skewers. It really doesn't matter. Remember this pocket on the turkey? You would just flip the leg in here and flip this one in here. That way, by the time the turkey is done cooking, it's still nice and secure. You can put some rice in here, potatoes, any kind of vegetables, cauliflower in there. You could really be creative with it, but I'm going to leave it dry because I like my turkey not on the dry side, but I don't like it too wet on the inside. So you have the turkey looking like so. It has the skewers poking on the outside, but once it is done, you can either clip the skewers off on the right and the left, or you can break it off, leave it in, depending on how you want it. So I'm going to pick up this turkey and put it in here. I usually like this temperature because it requires less attention. Some put it on 425 degrees Fahrenheit, but I've come to realize that you have to pay more attention to it so that it doesn't look burnt. But at 425 degrees Fahrenheit, you can actually have a very crispy outside and a tender and moist inside, but you'd have to pay attention to it more. At 325 degrees Fahrenheit, this is a 10 to 18 pound turkey. And we are going to bake it for about 3 hours to 3.5 hours. Now, just to clarify, I'm cooking it for 3.5 hours because it's unstuffed. If it is stuffed, the time will go higher to 4.5 hours. While the turkey is cooking, we'll begin with the cauliflower recipes. Begin by chopping off the leaves of the cauliflower and set aside. That would be used in the cauliflower fried rice. Chop the cauliflower up in chunks. Take half of it and put it in a pot. Pour 2 cups of water on there. Put your stove on medium to high heat and bring it to a boil. Chop your cauliflower leaves into little chunks to be used as vegetables for the fried rice. While that is cooking, we'll put the remaining cauliflower chunks in a blender and pulse it. Cut up the bell peppers to be used for the cauliflower fried rice. I love cutting the bell peppers this way, cutting the head and then the bottom, because it makes it easier for you to pop out the head. When you're done, you split the side and you gently cut around the seed section. That way, the portion that holds the seeds pops out without any waste. It comes out really nicely, and the bell pepper is a nice flat rectangle that could be chopped into any shapes preferred. Cut up the bell peppers into any shapes or sizes preferred to be used to garnish your cauliflower rice, your cauliflower mash, and your turkey. When the cauliflower that you'll be using for the cauliflower mash comes to a boil, poke into the cauliflower with a fork to see if the fork easily comes out of the cauliflower. If it does, then your cauliflower to be used for your cauliflower mash is almost done. I usually like the cauliflower a little softer to mimic the texture of mashed potatoes, so I left it on for an extra 5 minutes. Let your cauliflower for the cauliflower mash sit in the boiling water for a couple of minutes. Add 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, it could be any brand coconut oil, into your frying pan. Chop about half a handful of onions and add it to the coconut oil in the frying pan. Let it stir fry until translucent. Then add a handful of the cauliflower leaves that you chopped earlier into the frying pan. Stir fry for another 2 to 3 minutes, then pour in your riced cauliflower. Stir the riced cauliflower into the mix for about 5 minutes. I usually don't like my riced cauliflower too soggy, so I do not cover it and I don't cook it for too long. Add any seasoning of choice to taste. We started stir frying on medium to high heat, but about 2 to 3 minutes in, I lowered it to medium heat. Our cauliflower rice is done and ready to be consumed. Chop some bell peppers, scallions, parsley, or cilantro to garnish your delicious cauliflower rice. It's now time to mash your cooked cauliflower. Drain the liquid on the cauliflower and simply use a whisk or a fork or a spoon to mash the cauliflower. You can include any seasoning of choice. I added the herb and garlic seasoning just because I love the way it tastes and smells. If you want it to be buttery, you can add a little bit of butter, or you could include some olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil in there. It all depends on your taste preference. But for me, I only add the seasoning and garnish with some bell peppers or cilantro or scallion leaves or parsley, depending on what I have available. Our turkey is almost ready, and I didn't have to pay much attention to it. All I did was allow it to sit in the oven to cook. Because I wanted it to cook a little faster, I increased the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit after about 2 hours. It's almost done. It only has about half an hour to go, so I decided to take it out and brush it with the coconut oil that I forgot to brush it with. That way it has that golden look. To garnish, I'm going to cut up some bok choy leaves. I recently discovered bok choy and all its benefits, so I use it in my cooking, in my stir fries, and also for garnishing. It is absolutely delicious. When I cut off the leaves, I actually save the stalk to be used later in my stir fry or anything that I choose to use it for. I do not throw them away because it's absolutely edible and nutritious. I'll also cut up some slices of bell peppers to include in the garnish as well. Your turkey is now ready. Take it out of the oven and drain the excess fluid inside of the turkey. Once drained, use a flat, solid, or wooden spatula and a fork and lift it up onto your tray. Usually, when the turkey is done, lifting it up from the pan into the tray is usually a hustle, but I have found that using a flat, solid wooden spatula and a fork works as easy. It keeps my turkey intact and I'm able to move it onto whatever flat surface that I needed moved to. I filled my turkey with the remaining bell peppers and cauliflower leaves that I had left over, but you can fill your turkey with anything preferred. I took out the skewers, and I also noticed that the skin that was holding the legs broke during baking, so I decided to simply use a string to tie the legs together. It's tasting time, and I'm super excited. After a hard day's work and a job well done, this cauliflower rice and this cauliflower mash with this turkey is absolutely delicious, and you can eat it without feeling the guilt of consuming so many carbs and worrying about your blood sugar spiking. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. And until next time, always remember to be beautiful.